Yo, so today I'm going to show you guys how I would make emotional melodies and maybe a beat in like the style of Rod Wave or Iann Dior.
Pineapple!
So I'm going to try to keep this video a little bit shorter because I know the last 3 weeks the videos have been like 20-minute plus. So I'm going to try to make it more concise or short. But I made this melody earlier today and it's like a piano and I did my own vocal chops on it. So it sounds like this. So it's real smooth, real emotional. And this melody is actually like super simple, like really simple. But I started off with this piano pattern. And what I did is just go on the MIDI keyboard and I figured out some chords. I don't really remember how I did it exactly, but I just kind of played around and I got these three chords here, which it's pretty much like the progression that everyone uses, just going down the scale. But then for the last chord, I have it come back up to this C minor. So then once I got the chords down, I clicked C to go to the slicer tool and I sliced the chords up. So instead of adding a transition note that really wasn't in the chord, I just sliced up the chord itself by holding shift while I used the slicer tool to make sure it was a straight cut and on the grid. So then I added these two notes here, these, and then these three here. And it adds just like a really nice flow and gives the melody like, I don't know, it makes it like go really well together. Then for the top line, I really didn't do anything crazy. I just have it go down the scale, do a little grace note thing here, and then keep going down. And that's really all it is. It's like the least simple melody ever, but it still has that emotional tone to it. Then I duplicated the basic melody over another 8 bars, and I did this top line just because I knew that I wanted the vocal chops to take up this high range. So I just left this open for this part so I could have the vocal chops playing when this top line wasn't playing. And the top line again just goes up and down the scale in a wave kind of. I know that's some like term that music theory stuff, but it sounds good, flows really nicely together. Then I took the bass notes of the chord and duplicated them down an octave to just give it a little bit of that low end because I wanted it to sound like a super full melody. So here's what the melody sounds like, just the piano. Yeah, so as you can see, there's really not a lot of notes that there's not a lot going on, but I tried to really focus and place them with intention so it doesn't get overcrowded with notes, but it still gives it that emotional tone. So that was the first pattern that I made, and then I just copied the chords over to a Rhodes and just plays the same chords, but it is a Rhodes. So yeah, you get the idea. Like it just kind of fills up space because I put on the Rhodes the EQ to cut the highs and the lows, and then a reverb just blasted up the decay and turn the size all the way up, and then an imager that just makes it fill up the entire stereo spectrum. The third melody I added is just this top line for when the vocal chops aren't in the beat, and it just stutters and then goes down the scale. So real simple, but it just fills up that high end. And I have a lot of reverb on this and then also a ping pong delay. just to make it take up a little bit more space because I really just wanted this melody to feel super duper full. For the fourth melody, I just copied that top note section of the piano, but I made it a bell. And it's not quantized at all, but it blends nicely with the piano because that's also not quantized, gives it more of a human feel. Oh, also on all the melodies, I selected it and then pressed Alt R to randomize, and then randomize the velocities and the pan just a little bit. Then I added this sub bass I made in Serum, and it just copies the bass notes. Just for the intro and where I don't want there to be any 808s in the beat. So now we're gonna get into the vocal chop, and this is like the first time I've actually done like my own vocals on a beat. Like I used to have Arcade and use that a bunch, but I canceled the membership because I didn't use it enough for it to be worth like $10 a month. So for the vocals, I set a mixer track with pitcher on it, and I pitched it to a D sharp minor. So this is basically like FL Studio stock auto tune, just because I can't sing, so it helps a little bit and it'll keep it in key. Then I went and I stretched everything to be on the grid so it hits right when it should. And then I went and I added so many effects. So I have this EQ to cut the low end, a bunch of reverb on it, another EQ that's a telephone filter, just because here and here there was a lot of white noise because the heater was going, the fish tank was going, like the mic was picking up everything. So that helped cut out that white noise. And then I added this to get rid of that noise even further. Really, most of this stuff is just to get rid of that white noise and clean up the vocals so it sounds nice and crisp. Then I added a ping pong delay, turned it a quarter way down, and then a compressor. I honestly have no clue what a compressor does. I should probably learn, but I just clicked through the presets and I used this bright preset, and it made it sound better. I don't really know, but it worked. So then I recorded that out again by clicking here on the master, doing Alt R to record, just so like I had it and it already had effects on it. Then this is the final version of it, and I EQ'd out that white noise again because some of it still slipped through, and then put it on an imager and boosted it all the way just so it takes up the whole headphone space. So like this isn't the best example of what you can do with making your own vocal chops. Like people are way better at it than me, but this is what I came up with. It's my first time doing it, so yeah, so it sounds pretty wacky because I'm not good at singing, even though I had the auto tune on there. It really didn't help. So I'll play most of the melodies together here just for these 8 bars, just for time, so I don't want to take up too much time. Yeah, so it's a pretty cool melody, even though the vocals are supposed to be like the main point and they kind of suck, but it all works together. And then after that, I did Control A to select everything, went back to the master, recorded Alt R to record, and then recorded it out to this. And then I just pitched it down one. So in the end, it sounded a little bit like of a deeper tone. Yeah, so that's the melody pretty much. So I think I'm gonna actually do drums on this just to keep it real simple. But I hope, even though I'm trying to go faster, that it still makes sense and you're learning something. All right, so now we're in a new FLP, so I'm gonna go Made a January week 4. It's the first one I did this week. Drag it in, put it to the same tempo, which is 161. Cut it at 33 bars. Put pattern 1 in. Stretch it out 8 bars. And then just have this repeat. And then I'll make the drums in this section. I'm just going to add this extra clap at the end just to give it a little bit more bounce. Like kind of acting as a snare, but it's still a clap. And I just lowered the velocities halfway by selecting the note and holding Alt and then scrolling. Alright, so it turns out this bass line, like, it goes into, like, here, and that's really low for an 808 to play. So I'm going to go ahead and go back here and see if there's a different pitch. Well, alright, so that's pretty much going to be it for this video. I hope you learned something, and I hope it was like a more watchable length video. Hopefully, around like 15 minutes. That should be like a good length, I think. But yeah, I hope you learned something. Have a great rest of your day. And that's pretty much it. Oh, here's the final beat.